The insult that started everything. The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a deep rumble. Ambassador Chen walked inside. His black uniform stood out among the colorful alien robes. 200 alien species filled the giant hall. They all turned to look at him. Chen kept his head high. He walked to the speaking platform in the center. The room was built for beings 3 times taller than humans. Everything made him look small. That was the point. The human representative may speak, said Supreme Leader Zorthak. His voice dripped with mockery. The Zorthak stood 12 feet tall. His blue scales shimmered under the bright lights. 4 arms crossed over his massive chest. Chen cleared his throat. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Earth requests full membership. We ask for trade rights. We ask for technology exchange. We ask for a vote in council matters. Laughter filled the hall. Not kind laughter, the cruel kind that makes you feel 2 inches tall. The Deathworlder wants to sit with civilized beings, shouted someone from the back. Zorthak raised one hand. The room went quiet. Tell us, little human, why should we allow primitive apes into our council? Your species has barely left your poisonous world. You still fight among yourselves. You still use chemical rockets. More laughter echoed through the hall. Chen remained calm. His military training showed. We have survived on a death world for 200,000 years. Our gravity would crush half the species here. Our wildlife would terrify the other half. We earned our place through survival. Survival? Zorthak touched his wrist device. A huge hologram appeared above them. It showed Earth's history, wars, bombs, cities burning. This is what humans call civilization? You killed millions of your own kind. World wars, nuclear weapons. You poisoned your own air and water. The alien crowd murmured in disgust. Some covered their many eyes. Others shook their heads. Zorthak continued. You are violent children playing with dangerous toys. The Vex species achieved spaceflight with 0 wars. The melody united their planet in peace. But humans? You built rockets from weapons. Your first computers calculated bomb trajectories. Chen's jaw tightened. But he stayed calm. Those struggles made us strong. We learned from our mistakes. Mistakes? A thin gray alien stood up. Ambassador Kree of the Althan Federation. You brought weapons to first contact. Your ships have more guns than cargo holds. You are dangerous! We defended ourselves, Chen replied. Pirates attacked our colony ships. We adapted, you see? Zorthak spread all 4 arms wide. Everything is violence with humans. Attack, defend, fight. This is why Earth is classified as a death world. Not just the gravity or the predators, but because it breeds killers. The council members nodded. Some whispered agreement. Chen took a deep breath. You know nothing about Deathworlders. You sit here in comfort. Your worlds are paradise gardens, gentle weather, harmless creatures. You never had to fight for survival. We did. Every single day. And that is why you will never join this council, Zorthak announced. Call for the vote. Lights appeared above each alien delegation. Red meant no. Green meant yes. The hall filled with red lights. Only 3 green lights showed, from the newer species who remembered their own struggles. The vote is complete, Zorthak said with satisfaction. Humans are denied all trade rights. No technology exchanges. No protection under council law. Go back to your death world where you belong. The aliens started to leave their seats. They chatted and laughed. To them, this was just another day. Another primitive species put in their place. Chen stood perfectly still. Then he spoke. His voice was quiet but carried through the entire hall. You have made a mistake. Zorthak turned back. Is that a threat, little human? No, a promise. Chen looked directly at the Supreme Leader. You think our struggles made us weak? They made us unbreakable. You think our wars were shameful? They taught us strategy. You think being from a death world is an insult? He paused. You just united every human in the galaxy. All 7 billion on Earth. All 15 colonies. Every ship, every station. Congratulations. Empty words from a powerless species. Zorthak laughed. Chen walked toward the exit. At the door he stopped. He pulled out a small communication device. He typed 6 words. Then he looked back at the council one last time. We tried it your way. We tried peace. Remember that. The doors closed behind him. In the hall, Zorthak's assistant asked, should we monitor their communications? Why bother? Zorthak waved dismissively. What can Deathworlders do against the might of the Galactic Council? Light years away, every human communication device lit up with the same message from Ambassador Chen. Operation Iron Fist is now active. The Deathworlders were done asking for respect. Now they would take it. The silent preparation. 6 months passed without a single word from human space. The Galactic Council celebrated their victory. The Deathworld problem was solved, or so they thought. Supreme Leader Zorthak stood on his palace balcony. He watched the 3 suns of his homeworld set behind purple mountains. His assistant, a small green creature named Velk, approached nervously. "Sir, the human trade stations remain closed. All human merchants have disappeared from neutral zones." Zorthak waved a dismissive hand. "They are pouting like children. They will come back when they need food and supplies." "But sir, our spies report strange things from human space." "What strange things?" Zorthak turned mildly curious. Velk pulled up a hologram. "Look at this footage from Earth's moon, taken by our hidden probe." The image showed massive shipyards, thousands of robots welded metal plates. Sparks flew like stars. Construction platforms stretched for miles. Ships took shape in the darkness. Not 1 or 2, hundreds. "They work all day and night," Velk continued. "No breaks, no stopping," Zorthak laughed. "Let them waste their resources. Their primitive ships cannot match our technology. We have shields that can stop any weapon." On a trading station near the border, a young Zorthak trader named Dex noticed something odd. He ran the station's bar. Usually it was full of humans. They loved to drink and tell stories. But now, empty. "Hey, where did all the humans go?" he asked an old Vec merchant. The merchant's tentacles wiggled nervously. "They all left 3 months ago. Every single one. Said they had business back home." "All of them?" "At the same time. Within the same week. Traders, miners, even the tourists, gone." Dex felt uneasy. Humans never worked together like this. They came from different countries, different colonies. They argued about everything, but now they moved like one organism. That night, Dex reviewed security footage. He watched the last human leave his bar. The man had turned at the door and said something strange. "Sorry about what's coming. Dex, you are always fair to us." Meanwhile, on the secret human military base on Mars, Admiral Sarah Chen watched the newest ships roll off the production line. Her father, Ambassador Chen, stood beside her. "The Council has no idea what's coming," she said. "They think wars are won with superior technology," her father replied. "They never learned that wars are won with superior will." "How many ships do we have now?" 8,000 completed. 2,000 more by next week." Sarah smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Remember when they laughed at our chemical rockets? They won't be laughing soon. Every human colony had transformed into a weapon factory. Children collected scrap metal. Grandmothers worked assembly lines. Scientists shared every military secret with each other. No more Russian secrets. No more American secrets. No more Chinese secrets. Just human secrets. The aliens had done the impossible. They had united humanity. Not through hope or dreams or pretty speeches, but through insult and anger. On mining station Delta 7, human workers extracted minerals at triple speed. They sent everything back to Earth and Mars. The station supervisor, a melody named Sang, watched in confusion. "Why do humans work so hard now?" he asked his assistant. "Unknown. But they sing while working." "Sing? What do they sing?" "Old Earth songs. War songs." Back on the Zorthak homeworld, military sensors detected something unusual. Admiral Vrex, hero of 100 battles, studied the readings. "What am I looking at?" he asked his technician. "Energy signatures from human space, Admiral. Massive amounts of radiation, nuclear weapons." "No, sir, ship drives. Thousands of them, all powering up at the same time." Vrex laughed. "Impossible. Humans don't have thousands of ships. They have maybe 300 old cargo vessels." But the readings kept growing. More signatures every hour. On the border station, Dex couldn't sleep. Something felt wrong. He went to his office and turned on long-range scanners. Just to check. Just to be sure. The scanner screen filled with dots. Moving dots. Heading toward Council space. "Computer, identify those signals." "Human vessel signatures." "Count. Approximately 10,000. Dex's blue scales turned pale. 10,000? That was impossible. The entire Zorthak fleet only had 15,000 ships. He zoomed in on the lead ship. The scanner showed its name. "Remember the insult." His hands shaking, Dex opened a communication channel to his homeworld. To anyone who would listen, this is Border Station 9. Emergency message. The humans. They're not hiding. They're not running away. They're coming here! 10,000 ships and growing. They're coming! The transmission cut to static. In the darkness between stars, the human fleet moved in perfect formation. They had stopped asking for respect. They had stopped seeking approval. The Deathworlders were coming to take what was theirs, and this was just the beginning. First Blood Admiral Vrex of the Zorthak Imperial Fleet stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Supremacy. He watched the approaching human ships on his massive view screen. His forearms were relaxed, his breathing calm. 10,000 pieces of scrap metal, he said to his officers. The humans think numbers will save them. How amusing. His second-in-command, Captain Torv, nodded. Their ships are smaller than our fighters, Admiral. This will be a massacre. The Zorthak fleet formed a perfect wall in space. 5,000 warships, each one shimmered with blue energy shields. These shields had protected them for 1,000 years. Nothing could break through. Should we accept their surrender now? Torv asked. Save ammunition? Vrex laughed. Let them come. Let them break against our shields like water against rock. The galaxy needs to see what happens to those who challenge the Zorthak. On the human flagship Earth's Vengeance, Admiral Sarah Chen studied her tactical display. Her crew was silent, focused, ready. Distance to enemy fleet? She asked. 500,000 kilometers and closing, her weapons officer replied. Do they know our secret? No, Admiral. They're maintaining standard defensive formation. Sarah smiled. They think we're stupid. They think we spent 6 months building ships without studying their weaknesses. The Zorthak had shared their shield technology with the entire council. They were so proud of it, so confident. They even had educational videos showing exactly how it worked, how it stopped energy weapons, how it deflected missiles. But there was one thing the shields couldn't stop, something so simple that advanced races never thought about it anymore. Admiral, her communications officer spoke up. The Zorthak commander is hailing us. Put him on screen. Vrex appeared. His blue scales gleamed with confidence. Human Admiral, you have one chance. Surrender now and we will only destroy half your fleet as punishment. Sarah leaned forward. Admiral Vrex, famous hero of the Zorthak Empire. You once said humans were too primitive to understand real warfare, and you are about to prove me correct. Tell me, Admiral, when was the last time your people fought without shields? Vrex blinked. Without shields? Why would we do something so primitive? Exactly. Sarah cut the transmission. All ships, execute Operation Newton. The human fleet split apart like a flower blooming. Ships scattered in every direction. The Zorthak watched in confusion. They're running already. Torv laughed. That was even easier than expected. But the humans weren't running. They were accelerating. Each ship pushed its engines to maximum. Faster and faster. Then they released their weapons, not lasers, not plasma, not antimatter bombs. Rocks dodged simple tungsten rods, each one the size of a telephone pole, accelerated to 30% the speed of light. What are those things? Torv asked. My scanners show solid matter. Vrex's eyes went wide with sudden understanding. Kinetic weapons. They're using kinetic shields. Maximum power. Too late. The first rod hit a Zorthak cruiser. The shields, designed to stop energy, did nothing against simple physics. The rod punched through the ship like paper. The cruiser split in half. Air rushed out. Bodies floated into space. Then the second rod hit. The third. The fourth. 1,000 tungsten rods filled space, each one moving at impossible speed. The Zorthak fleet tried to dodge. But how do you dodge something moving at 1/3 light speed? By the time you see it, it's already hit you. Explosions filled the darkness. Beautiful blue ships became floating scrap. The pride of the Zorthak Empire crumbled in minutes. Return fire. Vrex screamed. All weapons! Plasma beams shot toward human ships. But the humans kept moving, never staying still. Their smaller ships danced between the shots. For every human ship destroyed, 10 Zorthak vessels exploded. This is impossible, Torv shouted. They're using ancient weapons, throwing rocks like cavemen. Cavemen who understand physics. Vrex watched another cruiser explode. Half his fleet was gone. In 10 minutes. 10 minutes. On her bridge, Sarah Chen watched the destruction with cold satisfaction. Second wave, fire! Another 1,000 rods launched. The Zorthak ships tried to retreat, but retreating in space takes time. You have to slow down, turn, accelerate again. Time they didn't have. The flagship Eternal Supremacy shook as 3 rods grazed its hull. Alarm screamed. Lights flickered. Admiral Torv pointed at the tactical display. More human ships, coming from below. Vrex looked. Another 5,000 human vessels rose from beneath the battle plane. They had been hiding, powered down, waiting. It's a trap, he whispered. The first wave was bait. They wanted us to focus forward. The new ships opened fire. Not with rods this time. With mining lasers. Repurposed industrial equipment. Designed to cut through asteroids. Perfect for cutting through hull armor weakened by kinetic impacts. The Zorthak fleet was surrounded. Outnumbered. Outmaneuvered. By humans. By Deathworlders. Admiral, his sensor officer cried. I'm detecting a transmission from the human flagship. It's broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through! Sarah Chen appeared on screens across the galaxy. Every news network, every military channel, every civilian display, the entire Galactic Council could see. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Human Fleet. 1 hour ago, you witnessed the destruction of half the Zorthak forward fleet. Let me be clear, this was not our main force. This was our scout fleet, a small demonstration. Behind her, crew members worked calmly. No celebration, no cheering, just cold efficiency. Tomorrow the real armada arrives. 50,000 ships. We offer the Zorthak Empire one chance. Unconditional surrender. Acknowledge humans as equals. Grant us full council membership. She paused. Her eyes were steel. You have 24 hours to decide. Look at your burning ships. Count your dead. And ask yourselves, is your pride worth extinction? You called us primitive. You laughed at our struggle. Now you know the truth. We didn't struggle because we were weak. We struggled because we were strong enough to survive it. The transmission ended. Admiral Vrex stood in his ruined bridge. His remaining fleet limped back toward home. 3,000 ships destroyed. In one battle, by humans throwing rocks. Admiral, Torv asked quietly, what do we tell the Emperor? Vrex looked at the debris field that was once his proud fleet. We tell him the truth. We woke up the Deathworlders, and they learned our weakness months ago. While we were laughing at them, he turned to his crew. Send a message to all Zorthak colonies. Prepare for total war. The humans are no longer asking for respect. His voice dropped to a whisper. They're taking it. The galaxy watches in horror. The Galactic Council emergency meeting was chaos. 200 species shouted at once. Panic filled the great hall where they had laughed at humans just 6 months ago. Silence. Supreme Leader Zorthak roared. His 4 fists slammed the podium. The room went quiet. Behind him, a massive screen showed the impossible. 50,000 human ships dropping out of hyperspace. They surrounded 12 major alien homeworlds. Not attacking, not demanding, just waiting. How? Asked Ambassador Cree of the Althan Federation. His gray skin had turned white with fear. How did primitive humans build so many ships? Look closer, whispered the Vec representative. Those aren't all warships. They converted cargo haulers, mining vessels, even pleasure yachts. They turned everything that could fly into a weapon. The screen shifted. It showed human ships holding position around the Melody homeworld, around the Althan colony, around the Vec trading centers. Perfect formations, perfect discipline. The door opened. Ambassador Chen walked in, the same man they had humiliated. He wore the same black uniform, but something was different. He no longer looked small. Every alien backed away as he walked to the center. You returned, Zorthak growled. Come to gloat over your little victory. Chen pulled out a small device. I came to teach you a history lesson. A hologram appeared. It showed a human child, maybe 8 years old. She was doing pull-ups in a gym. Normal exercise. Except the gravity reading showed 3 times Earth normal. Part 4. The galaxy watches in horror. The Galactic Council emergency meeting was chaos. 200 species shouted at once. Panic filled the great hall where they had laughed at humans just 6 months ago. Silence. Supreme Leader Zorthak roared. His 4 fists slammed the podium. The room went quiet. Behind him, a massive screen showed the impossible. 50,000 human ships dropping out of hyperspace. They surrounded 12 major alien homeworlds. Not attacking, not demanding, just waiting. How? Asked Ambassador Cree of the Althan Federation. His gray skin had turned white with fear. How did primitive humans build so many ships? Look closer, whispered the Vec representative. Those aren't all warships. They converted cargo haulers, mining vessels, even pleasure yachts. They turned everything that could fly into a weapon. The screen shifted. It showed human ships holding position around the Melody homeworld, around the Althan colony, around the Vec trading centers. Perfect formations, perfect discipline. The door opened. Ambassador Chen walked in, the same man they had humiliated. He wore the same black uniform, but something was different. He no longer looked small. Every alien backed away as he walked to the center. "You returned," Zorthak growled. "Come to gloat over your little victory?" Chen pulled out a small device. "I came to teach you a history lesson." A hologram appeared. It showed a human child, maybe 8 years old. She was doing pull-ups in a gym. Normal exercise, except the gravity reading showed 3 times Earth normal. "This is my granddaughter," Chen said. "Every human child now trains in high gravity." "You know why?" "Because you called us weak." The image changed. A human colony on a frozen world. Temperatures that would kill most council species. Humans walking outside in simple suits. "This is New Siberia. We settled it after you denied us trade rights. We didn't need your paradise worlds. We took the ones you called impossible." Another image. Human scientists sharing weapon designs. Russians teaching Americans. Chinese working with Europeans. Africans collaborating with Indians. "You united us." 2,000 years of human division ended in one day. "Because of your insult," Zorthak stood up. "Enough. You made your point. You have ships. You have weapons. What do you want?" Chen smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "First, let me show you something else." The hologram changed again. This time it showed Zorthak history, but not the version taught in schools. A Zorthak fleet bombing a primitive world. Civilians running. Cities burning, the Keeley species. You eliminated them 300 years ago. They had just discovered spaceflight. Another image. Zorthak soldiers executing prisoners, the Darv Rebellion. You killed 3 billion because they wanted freedom. Image after image. War crimes, genocides, hidden history. "How did you get this?" Zorthak's voice shook. "These records were destroyed." "Nothing is ever truly destroyed," Chen replied. "We spent 6 months preparing, not just building ships, but learning the truth about the mighty Galactic Council." The smaller species started murmuring. Many didn't know this history. They had believed the Zorthak were peaceful leaders. Lies. Zorthak shouted, "Human propaganda!" Chen touched his device again. Audio played. Zorthak's own voice from centuries ago. "Burn their cities. Leave no survivors. Let the galaxy know what happens to those who resist us." Silence fell. Then something unexpected happened. A small, furry creature stood up. Ambassador Tech of the Quillen species. They were farmers. Peaceful, never caused trouble. "The humans speak truth," Tech said quietly. "My grandfather saw the Keeley burn. He was too afraid to speak. We all were." Another stood. Then another. Smaller races. Weaker species. All with stories. All with hidden pain. "You see," Chen addressed the room. "We didn't just study your shields. We studied your history, your victims, your lies." He turned to the smaller species. "You fear the Zorthak, but look at your screens. Human ships protect your worlds now. Not threatening you, protecting you, because we know what it's like to be called primitive, to be laughed at, to be denied a voice." The screen split into multiple views. On the Darv homeworld, humans were distributing food and medical supplies. On the Quillen colonies, human engineers helped repair old equipment the Council had refused to fix. "This is impossible," Zorthak sputtered. "When did you—" "While you were watching our main fleet, smaller ships visited every oppressed world. We offered them something the Council never did. Respect, partnership, choice." A young Melody stood up. "The humans promised us defensive technology, asking nothing in return, just friendship. They helped our colonies survive the winter," added a Vec representative. "The Council said we weren't worth the resources." Zorthak's scales turned dark purple with rage. "You dare turn our member species against us?" "We didn't turn anyone," Chen replied. "We just showed them they had options, something you never offered." Suddenly alarms rang through the hall. The main screen flashed red. "What now?" someone cried. The screen showed the Zorthak homeworld. The Emperor himself had arrived, but not alone. The entire Imperial fleet, 1 million ships. The ancient reserve fleet, pulled from mothballs. Everything the Zorthak Empire could muster, the Emperor appeared on screen. Ancient, powerful, furious humans. His voice boomed across space. You dare threaten the Galactic Council? You dare spread lies about the Zorthak Empire? If it's war you want, Deathworlders, then war you shall have. The million ships began moving toward human positions. Chen looked around the council hall. Fear on every face. Even those who supported humans knew the odds. 50,000 against 1,000,000. But Chen didn't look worried. He activated his communicator. Admiral Chen, Phase 4 is complete. The Emperor took the bait. Sarah Chen's voice came back clear. Understood, Ambassador. Initiating Phase 5. The Deathworlders are ready. Chen turned to the terrified council. You're about to learn something important. Numbers don't win wars. Fear doesn't win wars. You know what wins wars? He looked directly at Zorthak. The species too stubborn to die. The ones who survived their own apocalypse 3 times. The ones who turned a death world into a garden. The ones you should have welcomed as friends. Outside, the first human ships began to move. Not retreating, advancing toward 1,000,000 enemy vessels. The final battle was about to begin. The Deathworlders' justice. The 1,000,000 Zorthak ships filled space like a metal storm. Their formation was perfect. Their weapons charged. The ancient Emperor himself led from the flagship Pride of Empire. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on her bridge, watching the approaching fleet. Her crew was silent. Everyone knew the odds. 50,000 against 1,000,000. Admiral, her weapons officer spoke quietly. Should we call for the reserves? Sarah smiled. Not yet. Let's show them Earth's history first. She opened a channel to all human ships. Remember Thermopylae? Remember Stalingrad? Remember when the world said we couldn't win? We're Deathworlders. Impossible is what we do. The human fleet began moving, but not in normal formation. They moved like wolves, like sharks, like every predator that ever hunted on Earth. The Zorthak Emperor watched from his throne. Look at them scatter. They know death approaches. But his veteran Admiral Krex wasn't celebrating. Emperor! That's not scattering. That's the humans attacked from 7 directions at once. Wolf pack tactics. Hit and run. Strike and fade. They used the debris from the previous battle as cover. Dancing between the wreckage of dead ships. Fire everything. The Emperor commanded. 1,000,000 plasma beams lit up space. But hitting the humans was like trying to catch smoke. They moved constantly. Never where you expected. Then the Emperor heard something impossible. Music. The humans were broadcasting music across all channels. Earth's ancient war songs. Beethoven's Fifth, Mars from the Planets, Ride of the Valkyries, songs that humans had fought to for centuries. They mock us. The Emperor raged. No, Admiral Krex said slowly. They're not mocking. They're hunting. The human ships worked in perfect coordination. When one group attacked, another retreated. When the Zorthak turned to face one threat, another hit from behind. Death by 1,000 cuts, but the real surprise came from empty space. Emperor, a sensor officer screamed. New contacts, everywhere, from behind asteroids, from inside gas clouds, from dark space itself. More ships appeared, not human ships, dark vessels, Quillan fighters, Keeley survivors who had hidden for centuries. Every species the Zorthak had ever oppressed. They had been waiting, watching, hoping for this moment. Impossible. The Emperor stood up. The lesser species would never dare. Ambassador Chen's voice echoed across space. You're right. Alone, they wouldn't dare. But they're not alone anymore. You called us Deathworlders. You were right. We come from a world that tries to kill us every day. But we learned something you never did. The new fleet attacked. 30,000 ships from 20 species, all following human battle tactics, all singing Earth's war songs. We learned that the pack survives when the lone wolf dies. We learned that together, even the small can defeat the mighty. The Emperor watched his perfect formation crumble. His 1,000,000 ships were surrounded by 80,000 enemies. But it wasn't the numbers that mattered. It was the fury. Every shot from the rebellion fleet carried centuries of anger. Sarah Chen gave her next order. Show them Project Prometheus. Human ships began launching something new. Small drones. Thousands of them. They attached to Zorthak ships and started broadcasting. Not weapons. Videos. Every war crime. Every genocide. Every lie the Zorthak ever told. Broadcasting to the entire galaxy. To every citizen of the Empire. To every soldier in their fleet. Turn it off. The Emperor screamed. We can't. Krex replied. It's on every channel. Every frequency Zorthak soldiers saw the truth. Their entire history was a lie. They weren't heroes. They were the villains. Some ships stopped firing. Then more. Zorthak captains refused orders. Why die for an empire built on lies? Traitors! The Emperor raged. I'll execute you all. But the real shock came next. Emperor! Krex pointed at the tactical screen. Look, Earth itself had arrived, not the planet. But something else. 50 massive ships, larger than anything ever built. Colony ships, but not normal ones. Those aren't warships, Krex said in confusion. No, Sarah Chen announced. Those are hospital ships, supply vessels, rescue craft. For after the battle, the Emperor laughed. You brought medical ships to a war. We brought them for your wounded, your orphans, your refugees. Because when this ends, someone has to rebuild. Someone has to heal. Humans know about rebuilding. We've done it 3 times after nearly destroying ourselves. The Emperor's own guards looked at each other. The humans brought ships to save their enemies. Chen's voice continued. This is what you never understood about Deathworlders. Yes, we're dangerous. Yes, we're fighters. But we're dangerous because we protect. We fight because we care. We survived our death world by helping each other. The battle was turning. Not because of weapons, but because of hope. Zorthak ships started surrendering, switching sides. The Emperor's million-ship fleet was falling apart from within. All ships, the Emperor screamed. Destroy Earth's fleet. That's an order! Only his personal guard obeyed. 10,000 ships against 80,000. And those 80,000 had something the Zorthak never had. They had something to fight for besides fear. The final phase began. Sarah Chen stood up. All ships formed the ring. The human fleet created a perfect circle around the Emperor's remaining forces. Not to destroy, to contain. Emperor of the Zorthak, you have lost. Surrender. Let this end with dignity. Never. The Zorthak Empire has ruled for too long, Chen interrupted. Your empire ends today, but your species doesn't have to. Surrender and we help you rebuild. Fight and we end this. Choose. The Emperor looked around his bridge. His own officers were staring at him, waiting. Some with hands on their weapons. Admiral Krex stepped forward. Emperor, enough. Even Deathworlders are offering mercy. Take it. The Emperor's 4 hands shook with rage. But he saw the truth. His empire was dead. His fleet was broken. His people had abandoned him. Surrender. Those 2 words echoed across the galaxy. The guns fell silent. The greatest battle in galactic history was over. 3 days later, the Galactic Council met again. But it was different now. Humans sat at the main table, not asking for permission. They had earned their place. Ambassador Chen stood before the assembly. We didn't want this war. We wanted respect. We wanted partnership. You gave us mockery, so we showed you strength. He looked at the former Supreme Leader Zorthak, now just another representative. But strength without mercy is just tyranny. So here's what happens now. The Galactic Council reforms. Every species gets a voice. Every world gets protection. The strong help the weak. The advanced teach the primitive. No more empires. No more conquest. Just civilizations growing together. A young Quillen raised a paw. What about the humans? Will you rule us now? Chen smiled. No, we'll do what we've always done. We'll survive. We'll adapt. We'll help when asked. We'll defend those who can't defend themselves. 'Cause that's what Deathworlders really do. We don't just survive death. We protect life. Sarah Chen added from her seat. But if anyone thinks about going back to the old ways, remember this. Humans went from throwing rocks to throwing asteroids. We turned cargo ships into warships in 6 months. Imagine what we could do if you gave us a reason. The hall was silent. Then slowly applause started. From the Quillen, the Darv, the Keeley survivors, then more. Even some Zorthak joined. Ambassador Chen raised his hand for quiet. One last thing. Every child in the galaxy will learn this history. Not to shame anyone, but to remember. Remember that arrogance leads to downfall. That unity beats division. And that sometimes... He paused, looking directly at the camera broadcasting to the galaxy. Sometimes the Deathworlders are the most human of all. Because we know what it's like to face extinction. And we chose to live. Not just to live, but to help others live too. The new Galactic Council was formed that day, with humans not as rulers but as protectors, the Deathworlders who survived their own worst nature to help others survive theirs. And in every spaceport, in every school, in every corner of the galaxy, beings told the story. The story of how humanity's patience ran out, how the Deathworlders stood up, and how the galaxy learned the difference between fear and respect. Earth was still called a death world, but now it was said with respect, because everyone knew the truth. The most dangerous species in the galaxy was also the most merciful, and that combination changed everything.